on, Vikings fans? Welcome into Vikings Now. My name is Patrick Siepman. Coming up on today's show, just reacting to the Vikings-Rams game. Also giving you guys an update on the Christian Darrisaw injury. And also, I just want to start off with this take. I think after going back and watching the rest of this game last night, I've came to this conclusion. The Vikings are a good team. They are not a great team. Kevin O'Connell, he is a good head coach. I don't know if he's great. Sam Darnold, he's a good quarterback. He's not great. Brian Flores, same thing. He is good, but he is not great. I'll explain those thoughts a little more in depth here in a second. But with the Vikings now, with a 5-2 record, I want to ask you guys this. Predict the Vikings record for me for the remainder of the season. If I had to predict it, I'd probably go 11-6. They win a playoff game, maybe lose in the divisional round, but that's where I'm going to stand right now. I got 11-6. But you guys let me know your thoughts down below. All right, let's start off with the Christian Darrisaw injury. So we do have some Twitter doctors suggesting that this is likely a sprained MCL for Darrisaw. So if that's the case, this is huge. He could be, back next week versus Colts, or it could be a 3 to 4 week thing. Obviously, this is not confirmed just yet. Once we get the MRI directly from the Vikings, we will know the full story there. But it's looking like this is likely a sprained MCL, which is great news because, if I had the power rank the most devastating injuries for the Vikings to suffer this season, I actually think Christian Darrisaw, he would be number 2 behind Justin Jefferson. I would honestly put him above Sam Darnold. I think losing Darrisaw for the year would be absolutely massive, considering you had to plug in David Quessenberry, maybe go make a move for a left tackle. But, that would be the most important injury in the NFL this entire season. I think that would have more impact than even the Hutchinson injury. So hopefully Darrisaw is all good, but looks like it's just a sprained MCL for him. And also quickly, I want to talk about the face mask. I understand that was one of the worst missed calls in NFL history. I can't believe that went unnoticed by the refs, and the fact that they came out after the game and said, oh, we didn't have a good view of it. You were literally staring dead at it. I think replay assist, they should just be able to call down somebody in their head, hey, let's change this play. Clearly it's a face mask. Let's get it right. But, again, unlikely that Sam Darnold was going to drive 90 yards after that and get the 2-point conversion. But it was still a joke. Vikings had a chance to win that game, and could you have imagined if that was like an NFC championship game, AFC championship game, and it came down to that? Just really disappointing stuff by the referees. But I do want to talk about one thing here. I want to focus the show on the Vikings offense. And I think they are one of the most overrated groups in the NFL this season. So I got an interesting stat for you guys, and I'll pop this up on screen right here. It is the Vikings rankings compared to the first 15 plays of the game and then the rest of the plays after. So on the scripted plays 1 through 15, this is how the Vikings rank. Yards per play, they're first. Points scored, they're first. Pass yards, they're first. Rush yards, 8th. First downs, 2nd. They are the best offense in the National Football League in the first quarter on those first 15 scripted plays. Now we get to the rest of the plays. This is staggering. Everybody talks about the Vikings defense, how they have been a terrible second-half unit, and yes, that is true to some degree, but I put more blame on this offense. Listen to this. Yards per play, 23rd in the league after the first 15. Points scored, 21st. Pass yards, 26th. Rush yards, 27th. First downs, 29th. You are one of the worst offenses in the league outside of the first 15 plays. And who does that go on? It goes on Kevin O'Connell. You guys, if you have watched the show for a while, you know I'm a big KOC fan. I think he's a top 10 coach in the National Football League. But over the last couple weeks, I think he has been terrible. I think the play calling has been way too vanilla. Last night, we were joking around during the watch party about what we thought the play on 1st and 10 was going to be. Every single time, it just felt like inside zone to Aaron Jones. And then when they did go play action, it felt like he was just trying to take the top off the defense, and there was no in-between. You watched what Sean McVay, Cooper Kupp, and Puka Nacua did yesterday. How did they dice up the Vikings defense? It was that quick pass game, getting the ball out quick, having those guys go making plays in space. And with the Vikings, where's Jordan Mattison? Former first-round pick. Is he just another dude? Is he not going to get the football? The man's got 14 catches this whole season. That's a crime. And that's on Kevin O'Connell, in my opinion. He needs to get him the football more. And, listen, I have been very, very happy with what I've seen from KO, so far this season. First 5 games, I thought he's been pretty good. But if you take away the defensive touchdowns, the Vikings are the 16th highest scoring offense in the National Football League. It's just not good enough. And that gets me back to how I started today's show. I think he's good. I don't know if he'll ever be great because, yet again, for a 3rd straight season, the Vikings cannot run the football. They are one of the worst rushing offenses yet again under Kevin O'Connell. And we talk about 2 tackles. We got Blake Brandel. He's a good left guard. It can't only be Ed Ingram on why the Vikings can't run the football. I think it's the scheme with this. It's not creative. And also, I loved watching the Rams last night. Their wide receivers block. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, they are physical. I don't see that from Mattison. I don't really see that from Naylor or Jefferson necessarily. The Vikings run game, you are not going to be successful with the amount of pre-snap penalties they have, not being able to run the football, and you're terrible on first downs. It doesn't matter about the talent. If you struggle in those departments, you will be a mediocre offense, and mediocre doesn't win. Great wins in the NFL, and I just think the Vikings, yes, they are a very good team this year. I just don't think they're close to great. They're just good. They are not sniffing greatness whatsoever. But going over some PFF grades, so Jefferson, of course, was the highest-rated Vikings player offensively. He had an 87.7 grade. Sam Darnold, 83.4. Then went Trent Sherfield, Aaron Jones, and Brian O'Neill. And I'll let you guys guess before I tell you. Who do you think was the lowest-rated player on the Vikings offense yesterday? Let me know. Type in the comments section. I'm sure you guys can guess it. Ed Ingram. I'm done with the right guard experiment with him. Dalton Reisner, he's got to come back. He's got to play. Ed Ingram's terrible. Kobe Turner was eating his lunch and dinner last night all throughout that game. 57.5 overall grade. He was awful yet again. Naylor also had a pretty rough grade, 42. So I guess Naylor had the worst grade overall yesterday, 42 overall. I mean, a lot of that had to do with that drop. That was just really tough, for Naylor. Bradbury also had a bad night, graded out in the 50s as well. But I'll ask you guys this. How concerned are you for the Vikings offense? Scale it for me 1 through 10 down below in the comments section. Now, I do want to close out today's show talking about the defense because it's not like I'm saying that the defense did enough to win. I mean, they got gashed the last 2 weeks. Clearly, I think with Brian Flores and, if you look at the Vikings' next 3 games, they go Colts, Jags, Titans. I bet you this defense will get back on track. They'll put up good numbers. But I think they're going to fool a lot of us and a lot of our you fans. I think they're going to have great games. But I think still when the Vikings defense goes up against an elite offense, an elite quarterback, an elite play caller, they will get gashed because you just can't get home with 4. Jonathan Grenard's been great. One of the highest pressure rates in the NFL this season. He graded out very well yesterday yet again. But, besides that, Patrick Jones, congrats. He had 5 sacks in the first 3 games. He's been a no-show. And a lot of those were scheme sacks. And, that was my concern, after the 5-0 start is the success defensively was all about the scheme. It necessarily wasn't about players making plays. And I think players making plays will always translate week to week more than just the scheme because we've seen the last 2 weeks, Ben Johnson, elite offensive mind. Sean McVay, elite offensive mind. If they're able to figure something out, this defense can get gashed. I mean, we watched our corners yesterday. Stephon Gilmore couldn't guard me. He looks slow. He looks old. And I think with how savvy he is still able to, lock up mediocre to good receivers in the NFL. But when he goes up against great receivers, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, he struggles. He struggled last night. And Byron Murphy, he should go. I mean, he's played bad. Shaq Griffin gave up that touchdown as well. I mean, it was just disappointing out of the defense yesterday. But, I can wrap this all together and say this. Offenses who are elite in the NFL nowadays, they are going to score points no matter how good the defense is. you're going to be able to generate offense just with, the rules favor offense nowadays, with how good quarterback play is, with how great, some of these play callers all are. Like, even if you're going against the best defense in the league nowadays, like, I don't really think we'll ever see like a 2000 Ravens type of defense where they're shutting people to, less than 10 points a game. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. So it just kind of gets me back to like the offense. Like, if you're Kevin O'Connell and you're this whiz kid, you're this, elite play caller, like, you just got to have more production. Like, the Vikings don't, like, offensively, they don't look like a well-coached team. Like, I understand if you ask any common NFL fan, oh, what are your thoughts on Kevin O'Connell? And if you would have asked me this 2 weeks ago, I would have said, oh, he's one of the best coaches in the league, one of the best play callers. But following that bye week, it has been pre-snap penalties, can't run the football, no type of offense that is not within Justin Jefferson or Aaron Jones. Like, if you take away those two, Mattison doesn't do anything. Jalen Naylor will have a couple splash plays here and there. I mean, where's Cam Akers? Crazy. You traded for him a couple weeks ago. This dude hasn't seen the field yet. Ty Chandler, he doesn't see the field. I mean, it was just a very disappointing game last night, and I know a lot of the conversations around the face mask, and I understand that. That face mask was a terrible missed call, but that's not what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about this damn team, and specifically this offense. It's just middle of the pack. To conclude this, the Vikings are good. That's it. They're not great. I thought they had a chance to be great this year. After watching the first 5 weeks, I really did. But I think we all know how this is going to finish. 11-6, 12-5, 10-7. They're going to go win a road playoff game. Maybe it's in Atlanta versus Kirk Cousins. Maybe it's in Washington against Jaden Daniels. And then they'll play a Lions, a Packers in the divisional round on the road. And we all know how that's going to go. But hate being negative, but definitely a rough game for the Vikings. Also, I appreciate you guys feeling pretty under the weather. So thank you guys for kind of battling through this video with me. But we'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Skol Vikes.